Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Ryan. I'm a partner at Citrin Cooperman, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with my dear friend, Michael Zacko, the president of Simple Foods. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Kevin. Thanks for having me today.
Why the name Simple Foods?
Well, we've just come out of a pandemic, and you realize I've been in manufacturing for some time now, specifically a spaghetti sauce company. And through this entire endeavor, what's come out of the end of this is simplicity, real, simple food. Again, it's how I started my world back in the 70s and 80s with real, simple products. And I believe that I am more relevant, and that is, we're calling it clean. We always called it simple, easy, natural. And that's why it's Simple Foods. Simply made, simple products. Everybody can pronounce everything that's in the products I represent and or the products I make.
Fantastic. Through the years we've talked, and you said, I sell ketchup, I sell lettuce. There's not a secret to it other than relationships. And that gets you through the thick, that gets you through the thin. And I know recently we were talking about the lack of turkeys at Thanksgiving just a few months ago. And you said, the way you speak with your hands, I loved it. You said, I have a solution. This is how I'm going to take care of my client. So give me a little background on the relationships that you've built and how they've helped you get through some of these situations.
Specifically, if we'll talk about turkeys, a year ago, probably this month, my relationships were telling me that turkeys were going to be unavailable unless I booked with farmers and helped the farmers secure more product. There was not going to be any turkeys around. I have had relationships with these men and women, farmers and processors for 30 years. I have no reason to doubt them. And they would never come to me and tell me that just so they could sell more turkeys, because we trust one another. And I pulled the trigger, as we would say in my business. I made the buy, and the buy is just a hold. But I trust them and they trust me. And between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I had turkeys for even the big guys. I was selling turkeys to them.
So that relationship, it's something, because you communicated with them throughout the years, throughout the year, you knew a year ago that there was going to be an issue, and you began to alert your customers that, hey, there's going to be an issue. We need to act now or someone else will.
Correct. That's exactly what I did. And of course, in the past, when I've done that with whatever product it may be, whether it's garlic from Costa Rica or basil from Honduras, when those folks that I've been dealing with for 20 or 30 years tell me what to do because something's coming, I never hesitate to pull the trigger and pass that on to my customers, who then forget about the price of anything, what it would have been from someone else. Everyone has the cheapest price, Kevin, when they don't have the product.
Right, and that's what I was just going to say. You're not value shopping, right? Someone who's value shopping isn't being told about these upcoming issues. They're just trying to be being sold a bill of goods, some inferior product at what someone thinks is a great price, but you get what you pay for at the end of the day. You also mentioned Honduras, South American countries. I know you're doing a lot with some tomato companies in Europe. So it's no longer this little South Philly, let alone Philadelphia business. You are sourcing throughout the world now because you have to, right?
Because I have to, and my relationships have taken me that way. I had zero, as you were aware of, zero pandemic interruption. I never worked harder. If there was 20 million pounds of tomatoes available for export, I was getting whatever I wanted first, because I was never charged. I was never worried about the other 25 cents, because I needed the product when I needed it. And I built I'm going to go back to relationship. It's our relationship. My relationships in Honduras and Costa Rica for basil and garlic, they're the two best places in the world to buy that product, unbeknownst to anyone. They are for ingredients and manufacturing, and they have never let me down, and I, of course, never let them down. When they needed money in the beginning of the pandemic, we funded them. I fronted them money, and that value never went away. They never forgot. But it's worldwide. And the supply chain is really broken for people who have been priced shopping and nickel and diming forever.
Very impressive. So through the years, you worked at the big food distributors, right?
Right.
That's a tough one these days.
Very tough.
Now you changed your focus because based on what we've spoken about through the years, you were able to help smaller manufacturers. So it's still distribution, but it's more manufacturing. It's more the food manufacturing now. And then you figure out the distribution as opposed to let's just get quantity on the streets and distribute.
Well, when I was with one of my first large distribution companies, which grew to $1 billion company, I went there as a $23 million company, and I retired out at $1 billion in sales. That business model has too many touches to it today. So, meaning it comes from a distributor, it comes from a manufacturer like myself now. I make, preceding the spaghetti sauce, you may not know, I made meatballs and cheesesteak meat for the country. So what happens is, if you got 4 or 5 people touching it before it gets to the restaurant tour or the end user, or everyone's putting a quarter on or 50 cents, after there's too many hands touching it today, and Amazon and those kinds of companies have shown us that touch costs money. And I have to pass that on to my client, which then I can't control that. And when I can't control that, I have to figure another way around it. My way around that was leaving distribution and going more towards manufacturing and sourcing. Again, in spaghetti sauce business, we went from $250,000 when we bought the factory to 35 million in 3 years. So, and that's all, it was strictly sourcing. There's plenty of contracts out there, but you can't find the product. I mean, the most important part of making product in the jar today is the glass company. You can't get the glass. So I have a glass guy.
Well, which leads me to technology, right? How has technology, or how have you embraced technology to help in the manufacturing business?
Well, technology strips labor, okay? Labor is the most expensive component to an older factory, and most of my factories are older factories. But technology can take a good portion of that cost out of the business and allow me to share that with both my customer and my own company or investors. So for instance, an old spaghetti sauce line, an old jar line running, 10,000 jars in a minute has to be hand packed off when those jars are at the end of the line. A new jar line can do 15,000 jars a minute, automatically packed by a robot. So that translates into 10 people on the line or 10 humans on the line versus 30 humans on the line every day, 7 days a week. So technology has changed everything. Efficiencies in cooking, efficiencies in logistics. While the products are cooling, the tractor trailers from a company called Yates is pulling up to pull the product to the stores. So I'm not warehousing it any longer. And you can only do that through technology. Before I would hand count it.
So how do you see food manufacturing changing in the future?
We will be embracing more and more technology, but bringing it back to simple taste and requirements. The pandemic pulled people from restaurants and any part of hospitality and brought them back home to cook. Food manufacturers have to remember that now and not get caught up with what the accountants want them to do because it's more efficient if we do X, Y, and Z. People know what good food is now, hence my name, Simple Foods. And I have consulting companies that want to talk, that I own, that want to talk to my manufacturing company or Simple Foods, not really realizing they're really talking to me. Because they lost sight of real food. You know why things tasted great when you were home, when you were a young man going to grandmom's or grandpa's house? Because it was simple, easy ingredients. It tasted good. You didn't need a lot of it. You know, there's an old saying in my food business, if you can recall the little bottle of Coca-Cola when you were a young person. You remember how small that bottle of Coca-Cola was? It was real sugar, real product. And that's all you needed to drink. You were satisfied. So the goal in the future for manufacturers like myself is to make you be satisfied with what you've just either ate or purchased. I don't want you thinking of something else while you're still eating what I sold you or what I gave you.
Do you see that you're sourcing more throughout the world because it's a better product, or there's a more ample supply, or other reasons?
Combinations. No matter how you look at it, you can't replicate a San Marzano tomato. You just can't. California is the greatest independent nation within our country from an agricultural standpoint, okay? They can do everything, but they can't be it in Naples. They can't be at the foot of the mountain that put the ash there. That's why the pasta tastes better there. So yes, it's science that makes that product better, but nothing will duplicate that. So I have to keep those lines of communication open. I need that product. I need the product, but most anything coming from America now is changing to the positive.
So now that you're, I would say, consulting more, right? That you have a lot of different companies that have seen you succeed and say, hey, you know, I need to find out what this secret sauce is that he has. Now, can't give away the secret sauce, but you can certainly help your clients. How are you helping them maintain and grow their business now? Well, what are you seeing as the advice you're able to dispense? That obviously each company is a little different, but you're saying that, okay, if you do this, I can see you growing significantly. And I know there are some examples that we've talked about where you're already involved, but is there a common thread amongst these companies that are struggling a little?
Yes, the trouble. If we're going to let's use distribution first, right? Distributors that are struggling forget the whole concept of selling food. People and customers have 7 items that in their particular location or unit or restaurant that they absolutely have to buy at the right price and have to have in stock at all times. So everybody's racing to sell the 7 products to them, okay? I have to sell 40 products to make a truck work in a stop like that. So the reason why nobody can make any money doing this with just the 7 anymore is they forgot about the other 33 products. The training I received as a young fella is not being provided. Their computer work is being, they're home selling on Salesforce, which is wonderful, but they're not selling product because they're not seeing the diner in the morning where the owner's there, or the restaurant at night when the owner's there. They're always there to count their receipts. They forgot that. And that's what gets you the other products. If I'm selling hamburgers, then they must be buying buns, lettuce, and tomato, right? And I have a client right now in the produce business that's in the supermarket produce world. Now, supermarket produce distributors have magnificent product because supermarket consumers are very picky about produce and meat, very picky. So he's got a built-in magnificent product, perfect for food service. It's going to be 50 cents more a case, but if you don't have any complaints against produce, then you get the burgers and the chicken and they don't say anything to you because if the lettuce is wilted on your burger, you don't go back and have another hamburger. If the lettuce is crunchy, it sort of cuts you a break if the bread is a little stale. You know,
Mhm.
they forgot, these are just basic things that were beat into my head from a very old mentor, Maury Novick from Novick Brothers, an icon in Philadelphia. He was my supplier with my family when we were doing the hot dogs at the Veterans Stadium. And he told me all the time, you'll never fail with quality, and you'll never fail with knowledge. You tell people, you'll find a solution, they will buy from you forever. And I have Kevin, my customers are buying from my son now, 45 years later. Their sons are buying from my son. So
Well,
that's
that-
world.
that's the mark of success, right? That it goes on. You've been able to hand that down, and I know your son, and I know you've instilled in him
Yes,
all of these lessons that you talk about.
yes. It's
So
it's
on, go ahead,
it's,
please.
it's interesting because so I'm also doing a lot of work with a young female entrepreneur who is growing a brand that is going to light the world on fire. She's got that drive, and she doesn't know how to get to the next level. You know, she's successful inside of a store. Well, in our business, in food business, I don't want you coming to me. I want to be able to go to you to sell, right? That's the advantage of not being a barber, right? You have to wait for somebody to come in for a haircut, right? You're an accountant. You go out and take me out because we can go find customers, right? So I'm breaking her out of her store, which has led to conversations with the TV networks to be the face of a brand new complete line of Italian products. And I'm working with her diligently, and she will absolutely break out and do this. And that's what excites me. That's what I want to do. I want to pass on this knowledge to these younger folks or new entrepreneurs into the food business.
Well, Michael, the time flies as always with you. We appreciate your time and congratulations on Simple Food. And I know, and look, as you help your customers, it helps all of us who enjoy going out and getting good food and just having a good time. They are all interrelated. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.
Take care.